with breaking news.
And first up right now, some really tense moments for employees working at Aetna headquarters in Hartford this morning. Police now charging a man who they say walked into the building with a gun. Your reporter Katie Cohen joining us live right now, breaking down this breaking news tonight. Katie?
Mark, Aetna employees are heading home right now after earlier today. Police were called after security said they needed help taking down a man who allegedly had an AR-style pistol inside their headquarters building, which is right behind me. And police were able to arrest that man who got into the building. It was 51-year-old Denry Waddlington. You're looking at his mugshot right now. He's been arrested and is now facing multiple charges, including trespassing and illegal possession of an assault weapon. When police got here just after 10 this morning, security officers had already detained Waddlington. They were able to find him within only 3 minutes of him getting inside. Police have not told us the reason or motive for Waddlington bringing the gun here, but they say he is not an Aetna employee or patient. We looked into his criminal background, and he does have other pending charges for allegedly driving the wrong way on a highway without a license in 2019, and he's been convicted of threatening and interfering with Hartford police officers in both 2017 and 2018. Police say they are still investigating what happened here. We asked Aetna for a statement about this and haven't heard back, but once we do, we'll be sure to bring you that information both on air and online. Your reporter live in Hartford, Katie Cohen, Channel 3 Eyewitness.